senator. She is the senior senator. She is the first female senator, and at the moment, she is the only senator from Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Klobuchar.
Well, thank you, Candy. That was great. And thank you so much, Julie and Juliet, for inviting me, to Deirdre for your good work, to Nan for your courage, to Speaker Pelosi, thank you, and to Congressman McCarthy. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I do bring you greetings from the state of Minnesota, where, in the words of our unofficial poet laureate Garrison Keillor, all the women are strong, all the men are good-looking, and all the recounts are above average. So I'm up here telling the jokes, and Al Franken is going to be the senator. What is wrong with that picture? I am truly honored to have the privilege to speak with you tonight. And since I'm new at this type of speech, I really have a very simple goal. And that is to keep it as short as Bill Richardson's tenure as Commerce Secretary. Now, I want to first of all thank all of you for being so welcoming. Especially the anonymous pundit who predicted in Politico that my comedy skills were so limited that I was certain to bomb tonight. I just want everyone to know that I'm not upset about that comment and who said it, and I completely forgive Congressman McCarthy. As you know, I am from Minnesota, where my first elected office was as a prosecutor for 8 years, which made things much easier when I got to Washington because there were so many familiar faces. My first day in the limelight in Washington actually came as a young prosecutor when I was invited to introduce President Clinton at an event in the White House for the hate crimes bill. And this was this big event, and I still remember this. I'm standing outside of the East Room. The band is playing. I have Attorney General Reno on one side. I have Bill Clinton on the other side. I'm kind of nervous standing out there, and the band starts playing Hail to the Chief. And I start walking, and all of a sudden I feel this big hand on my shoulder, and this voice says, "I know you're going to do great out there, but when they play that song, I usually go first." True story. Okay. That was my beginning. But by 2005, I wanted a new challenge, so I decided to run for the United States Senate. Now, you have to imagine what this was like at the beginning. I didn't know anyone in Washington. No one would return my calls. No one could say my name. And I finally decided I'm just going to call everyone I know for money that I've ever met in my life. And that is when I set an all-time United States Senate record. This is true. I raised $17,000 from ex-boyfriends. Now, Speaker Pelosi, I may have the record in the Senate, but I know in the House that record is held by Barney Frank. And as my husband, who's back there somewhere, where are you? As my husband has thank you. As my husband has pointed out to me, for me, that ex-boyfriend, it's not an expanding base. Okay, but with hard work, somehow I got here, and I am now a United States Senator. I think in the end, I won because deep down, I know exactly who I am. I'm a woman whose hair will never have the bounce and fluff of Rod Blagojevich. I'm also someone who is a bit naive about the ways of Washington. I was a real Alice in Wonderland when I got here. When I got here, I made all kinds of committee requests: appropriations, finance, commerce, foreign relations, and somehow Harry Reid decided to put me on the subcommittee on oceans. I am from Minnesota, and I was placed on the subcommittee on oceans. It's like being from Illinois, Rahm Emanuel, and being placed on ethics. Okay. But I finally figured out why Harry put me on that ocean subcommittee. Because I can see Lake Superior from my porch. Okay. Now, Washington, D.C. is a very strange place to me. It's very different than Minnesota. After seeing all those black limousines at the inauguration, I finally realized that I went from the gopher state to the chauffeur state. For those who have never been to Minnesota, it's a state with pristine crystal lakes and boundless forests. Or as Dick Cheney calls it, the state that got away. Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. Washington, I gave the joke away. Washington is the land of 10,000 leaks. But I love our lakes. And it was great to take Barack Obama to campaign in Minnesota because with 10,000 lakes, he had plenty of water to walk on. Now, I admit this is a big night for me. So I called Sarah Palin and asked her what to wear. As many of you know, you were there, you remember that she burst on the national stage at the Republican National Convention in my state of Minnesota. And that is when I realized what RNC truly stands for, really new clothes. You know, she should have called me. $150 Nordstrom after Christmas sale. Now, it is double pressure for me tonight because tomorrow morning I'm speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast. My plan is to offer thanks to the Almighty Supreme Being who at any moment can unleash his wrath on those who don't follow his commandments. I know half of you think I'm talking about Rahm Emanuel. The truth is that this event was always trickier for me than the National Prayer Breakfast because, as you know, God forgives and reporters don't. This room, in fact, has the greatest, the most thorough, the most hardworking, the most brilliant reporters in the world, all of whom were scooped on the John Edwards story by the National Enquirer. Now, okay, I love reporters. My dad was a reporter his entire life, and I especially love print reporters because as a member of the Environmental Committee, I'm all about protecting endangered species. Now think about it. The New York Times may soon be owned by a Mexican billionaire, which would mean history will be made. It would be the first time Lou Dobbs tries to deport an entire newspaper. I also know that there are some people from MSNBC here, and please tell Chris Matthews that I'm a fan, although I would have told him that you don't go directly to the United States Senate from hardball. He should have talked to Al Franken. You have to do a bit on Saturday Night Live first. Okay, in addition to Candy, I know Wolf Blitzer is here, although he could have appeared via hologram. That would have been just as good. And Dana Bash is here as well. As you know, she's married to John King. They're both here. It's very romantic. I don't know if you want to stand up. 2 reporters. This was really sweet. And at their wedding, the something old and something new meant Larry King and his wife.